everybody, my name is Sojourner Elleby and I am a producer with Refinery 29 and I am here with your first look inside 29 rooms at the support system. R29 partnered with Reebok to create the support system room to celebrate the launch of Reebok's Pure Move sports bra. Here with me to talk more about the Pure Move sports bra, Reebok's Be More Human campaign, and the power of sisterhood to self-empower is brand ambassador and critically acclaimed actress and playwright, Danai Gurira. Did I say that correctly?
You said that pretty well.
Thank you very much.
Really
I tried to practice. Thank you so much. So I'm so happy that you were able to join us here today. So before we get into things, for the people at home who may not be aware, what is the mission of Reebok's Be More Human campaign?
The Be More Human campaign is really about allowing, especially this rendition, which is very much about women, allowing us to celebrate ourselves and find our strength both mentally, physically, and, of course, spiritually in all types of ways through fitness. The joy of fitness, the power of it, finding our power. We're not often encouraged to do that as women. Our physical power, how much that connects to all types of realms of our own potential. And being more human is such a part of that. So I love that logo.
And how did you get involved with the Be More Human campaign? Was it something that you saw where you said, I want to be a part of that? Did they reach out to you? How did that partnership work?
They did reach out to me, and I was really excited to be a part of it. I loved the concept of it. I'm very much an advocate for women and girls, very much believe in making sure that they know their power, their value, their worth, their potential. And so when they came to me and approached me and talked about the campaign and really wanted me to use my voice and what I want to say to women and girls to be, wanted that to be what came out in terms of my representation of the brand, that was really exciting to me because I've always been a big advocate of fitness, and women and girls are my passion, so it was a perfect fit.
That's great. Now, what I love about the Pure Move sports bra is that it helps stabilize us, it helps support us, it makes working out just a little bit easier for women. So I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on body positivity and how important it is to feel comfortable in our own skin.
I mean, it's crucial, and I know we live in a world that really works against girls and women sometimes realizing that beauty and that power in just who they are. And so I could not be more of an advocate around girls and women finding the things, whatever it may be, pure bra, things like that really make them feel stable, supported, and able to do their thing. Because that's the whole point. You want to be able to do your thing with ease, with comfort, and really feel like I am where I'm supposed to be. And that is, being in your skin allows that, and pure bra feels like your skin. So it's actually kind of the perfect, I think it's a gorgeous, gorgeous piece of sports bra. I mean, I've worn many athletic wear in my lifetime, and I just love this.
Yeah, I wore mine the other day, and I was like, this kind of cute, this kind of comfortable.
It is
comfortable.
Really
nice.
It's comfortable, it's cute at the same time, which can be a tricky combination.
Now, outside of the Be More Human campaign, you're also involved in the Love Our Girls initiative and Amalfi Arts Incorporated and plenty of other organizations. So why is it so important for you to use your platform and your voice to raise issues regarding women's rights and women empowerment as a whole?
Well, yes, I'll say separately, Love Our Girls is something that I created a couple years ago. And it's really, at its core, it's an informational hub. It's about awareness. What I find is that you cannot be an advocate or an activist without having awareness. Once you get aware, once you are actually informed about issues that are happening in very specific, clear ways that are like not disputable, then you're able to actually garner a passion around it and want to participate. So that's really at the core of Love Our Girls. My play Eclipse was happening on Broadway at the time, and it was very important for me to utilize all I could to make sure that more awareness was brought to the public around the issues that women and girls still face globally. And how that is something that, at the core of it, like since I was a little girl, when I saw the disparities between, between gender treatment across the world, I always thought, this doesn't make any sense. Like from the age of like 8, it just didn't make sense to me on any scale. So really Love Our Girls is about bringing that awareness. These things are still happening in the world. And every single month we put out a newsletter and we actually just we specifically highlight organizations that are doing profound work in these areas, from child marriage issues. Right now, we have the Tahiri Justice Center on there, on our Love Our Girls site, which is dealing specifically with how to help women and girls who are trying to flee violence in their countries and come to the United States for asylum. We've highlighted everything. Organizations that deal with issues of immigration, issues of rights here when women are trying to flee situations here, but they don't have the legal team.
Absolutely,
There
yeah.
are legal centers that deal with
support.
that. We've highlighted women who've done amazing things, Global Peace Prize winners. Lots of the time, women can't name other women Global Peace Prize winners. We have to be able to know other women, our heroes, our sheroes who are out there who've done amazing things against astounding odds. We have to know who they are, reference them quickly. When we're in a world that combats our greatness, we have to know where to pull from to say, oh, I know that so-and-so did that under those circumstances. What would stop me from doing this under mine? You know what I mean? So Love Our Girls is about really fueling women and girls to know themselves and to know what's happening across the world, where women are fighting odds that are really, really daunting, but they are doing it with power and passion and courage, and encouraging other women and girls to do the same. At the same time, we are very much about encouraging, male participation.
Okay, yes.
Of course,
Which
because
is just as important.
it's just as important. And we did a newsletter the month of March, which is in the Women's Month. We did one where I asked some of my male colleagues, from Ryan Coogler to Chris Evans,
Nice.
and folks like that, who is your favorite woman in history? Really allowing men to speak to women in history, that to bring women up on their platform and say, I respect this woman and what she did in history. We don't often hear that perspective.
Right.
So it's very important also to encourage male advocacy around gender equality. So that's really what Love Our Girls is about. Almasi is about, it's another organization I co-founded, and it's based in the United States and in Zimbabwe. And it's about really allowing the African voice to be heard in the arts.
Okay.
So we, I grew up on the continent. I grew up in Zimbabwe. I came here, I was born here, raised there, came back here as an adult. And so I've had the privilege of having citizenship of the United States. I haven't been born here, but I've seen a lot of struggle that happens on the continent with artists who are just as talented as me,
Absolutely. Yes, they
but
are.
don't have the access.
Right.
So that's really what Almasi was about. It was about bridging this gap that I felt, this tension I felt between these two places, where I say, this place has talent too, but it doesn't have the access that this place has. So the reason why it exists on both planes is we take Zimbabweans to America, we bring Americans to Zimbabwe, and we try to encourage artistic collaboration and also give access to African artists, not only in the realm of education, but also in cultural exchanges, and also, of course, in professional opportunities. So that's Almasi. What was your question?
Because they're
just very
we
separate,
just
so I
got
had
it
to
started,
define
and you
them.
are already preaching. I'm just like, whoa, take me there. But it was just, why are those issues so important to you? But I think you conveyed it. You said at that young age, you were like, why do we not know some of these historical women figures? Why are we not able to retort back some of these facts about women like we do for so many other people? So I think you saw at an early age that there was a problem, and you said, well, if nobody's going to fix it, then I am. So
well, I mean, there are a lot of people doing a lot of things, which
yes.
is really why Love Our Girls is very much about celebrating the work that's being done and bringing awareness to them. If there's any way, for instance, that Love Our Girls can allow for someone to connect to an organization they would have otherwise not known about.
Correct.
And be like, wow, I love what that organization is doing. I didn't know they existed. That's a really important issue. Let me get involved. Let me support them. Let me, in whatever way, volunteer for them or donate to them. So we really are a hub just for awareness, where we're not actually trying to advocate anything for ourselves as much as we are trying to bring a platform for really bringing the connection to people and all the things going on in the world around women and girls, and ways that you can plug in. It's called LOG, Love Our Girls, but it's also called Take the Pledge. It's like logpledge.org.
Yes.
Because the pledge is about you commit to saying, I want to be more aware and I want to bring more awareness to others. And once you sign in and pledge, then you are connected to our ability to give you awareness and access.
Absolutely. Now I want to switch gears a bit and get into your diverse body of work in terms of your acting career. You have starred in and even created so many strong, complex, multi-dimensional female characters. So I'm first interested in knowing why you wanted to pursue acting, but then what goes behind the roles that you choose to star in and create?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. It's an interesting question. I know I've had it before, but it's very interesting. In fact, why did you want to pursue acting? Sometimes you just, it's like something kind of is something people notice in you, and they're like,
You should do this.
you
They
should
kind of
do
push you
that,
towards it.
And then I just sort of ended up doing it a lot when I was a child, just in school and with nothing professional as a child. And then in high school, a lot of my high school buddies were theater buddies. I was a part of the children's performing arts workshop in Zimbabwe that still exists actually, and was amazing in giving me access to not only the skills to like really the initial skills, understanding that this is a craft, this is an art form, you have to treat it with reverence, with respect. I learned that very young through that workshop, and just started to really get connected to it. And then I love that we were also encouraged to create stories.
Yes.
So that was something that I also garnered a hunger for and an understanding of initially from that age, and it just became like I guess a bug that stuck. Throughout high school, I was very involved in the theater club. I was the head of the theater club in my senior year, and when I went to college, I actually did not plan to pursue the arts as a career.
Really?
No, I didn't. I was actually a psychology major. I was very interested in social psychology, not so much clinical.
Right.
I really wanted to pursue the issues of, sociological issues that affect our psychology, like how do phenomenons happen? What is the mental state that causes a phenomenon to happen, like apartheid? You know what I mean?
Got
So
it. Yes.
issues like that were very interesting to me as around race. I grew up right next door to South Africa. I grew up in Zimbabwe, and so throughout my whole childhood, South Africa was under apartheid.
Yes, it was.
And that was something that I couldn't go next door. My white classmates could, but I couldn't, and
Right.
they did. So that was something that was always kind of interesting to me. So I really wanted to pursue social psychology and really look into why dynamics around race, gender, nationality, all that. And so that was my thing. That was going to be my thing. I was going to be, go into academia and do research that I hoped would affect social policy. That was going to be my thing. And then I mean,
Life just happens.
no. I was involved with theater still. I couldn't get away from it, but it wasn't my major. And then I went to South Africa actually for a semester abroad because I wanted to research this nation that I'd never actually stepped into, but had been right next door to throughout such tumultuous times. And when I went, I had an experience there I met a lot of artists who had used their art to combat apartheid. And this was some years, it wasn't very many years outside of apartheid. They just had their first vote 5 years ago. Like black people had gone to the polls for the first time 5 years before.
Right.
So it was very new, and they were people who, carried wounds, as one of our coordinators said, that we couldn't imagine. So many people we'd encounter. And a lot of them were artists that we met who had used their craft in various ways. Of course, we know about John Kanye and Winston Choma, who have Tonys for what they did here in the 80s, bringing their plays here that were dealing with apartheid. And there were so many different ways that was done, through photography, through poetry, people who were being arrested for speaking out against the injustice. So to me, that really convicted me. Like I was like, they had those stakes against them, and they pursued their craft.
Yes, they did.
And their passion. I don't know what is my excuse for not doing the same. And so that was really there in Cape Town, South Africa, that I decided I'm going to go back and I'm going to pursue my passion. And I know that it's in the arts.
I love that.
But it was very much, the way I've written and the things I've pursued have been connected to the work I did in social psychology.
I think it all encompasses your passions, what you're good at, what you want to portray to people outside of the screen. So I love that you were able to combine all of those. And now your Broadway play, Eclipse. First of all, I have to say, shout out to you, the first all-women creative team on Broadway. How did it feel to hold that title and to be the first to do so? But also, why was that story, the story of the women in Eclipse, why was that such an important one for you to portray?
Yeah, it was quite shocking actually to learn that we were the first all-female creative team ever on Broadway. It was an honor, but then it was also like, really?
Right,
like it took this long?
Right.
So, and that's saying a lot, and that's something we should consistently address, of course, as we move forward. But, it was definitely, my passion around the passion I realized I had to pursue in Cape Town was really to tell African women's stories, to give African women their voice in a way that was as complex and rich and multidimensional as many others get. But we so rarely heard from the African female perspective, and that was something, again, that made no sense to me.
Right.
So that being said, Eclipsed was a story that in so many ways kind of I don't even know what the word is, but it railroaded me, and it sort of took me. I feel like I was taken and told, you're gonna do this, and
Yes.
you know, and that was, and I knew I had to, and it was a very, very life-changing experience, to just from a newspaper article that was handed to me in grad school by a teacher who knew I wanted to tell those types of stories. And the New York Times had these women in the Liberian War. It's like 2003, and they were all decked out, like really kind of cool looking. They had little berets, they had like cute little tops on, and they had AK-47s on their backs, and I was like, what is this?
Up, yes.
And like I grew up in, you know, a very pristine African nation in Zimbabwe. I'd never seen anything like war, anything like it. I'd never seen that.
Right.
And I was like, what is that? And I was like, one day I have to tell that story. And so after my first play, I was like, this is what I have to do next. And it ended up with me going to Liberia, and it was I don't even know how to put to words how devastatingly amazing and life-changing it was to sit in front of these women and be entrusted with their stories, telling stories of women in war. To answer your question more specifically, I'd never seen those stories told. Why do we not hear once again about women in war? We hear so rarely about women. We see all the war stories. We see all the
plenty
men,
of war movies,
you know, the war
films,
movies.
everything.
You know, the men are out there doing their thing, but there are a lot of women.
There are women out there doing
with
their
a
thing.
lot of things in war, and often the vulnerability that comes with being a woman in war. How do women navigate? It was really about how do they navigate their own survival in environments this hostile? And to me, that was it was something I had to pursue. And these women embraced me, and I was shattered. You know, they'd say to me, I'd say, is there anything you want to ask me? I can't just be about me learning about the most devastating experiences of your life. And they would always say, they wanted to thank me because they never had, and they, looked at me as a sister, and they said, we've just never had anyone come and ask us about what happened to us. No one's ever asked us.
Wow.
And
those small questions can really mean so much to somebody who
well, just like
isn't.
What was your experience of this devastating war? And everyone knows the names of Charles Taylor and the big warmongers, but the names of those women who stood up and said no more, because of course we know that war was largely ended by the women's peace movement, the Liberian women peace movement. So I was like, that story has to be out there. I mean, my God. So it was all those things that drove me to feel I had to try to tell the story.
And each night you dedicated the performance to one of the Nigerian girls that were held captive by Boko Haram.
There are many who are still being held
What was
captive.
the reason behind that? Why did you choose your play and like those nights to do that?
Because for me, as I said with Love Our Girls, it wasn't about, oh yay, I'm on the Great White Way. It wasn't about that. It's never about that for me. It's about, can we bring voice to things that do not get to be heard? And how do we amplify those voices as much as we can with the platform we've been entrusted to?
Right.
And so that to me I was like, we have to find a way to use this experience of putting this story in front of this audience to, amplify, to bring awareness, to bring hopefully advocacy. It's got to be about more than saying, hey, look at our play. It's got to be about more than that. These experiences are real. There are girls that are missing right now to this day that are going through exactly what you just watched. It's real. And so we connected with a gentleman, Emmanuel Ogebe, who works as a human rights lawyer around these issues, and has helped some girls come who escaped that night, as we know, in April of 2014, who has helped them come here for education, the ones who got away, and they helped them out of the region. And so he brought some of those girls to watch the show. And it was really him and I really saying, how do we use this as much of a platform as possible?
Got it.
And he said, he actually was like, what if we keep those names alive? And I just loved that. The idea of every day, the audience, there's something about names that's very, if you watch the play, it's something about names and how these girls are renamed in war, just like people have nom de guerres. These girls are renamed. You don't learn their names for a long time in the play. And so the idea of really having us speak out names of women and girls who are still in this situation they just watched right now, so that the awareness was right there, and there are things in their program showing them how to connect and get involved beyond that. And so then the idea was, how about we just amplify it even more by inviting influencers to come and be the people who actually lead that dedication at the end of every as many performances as possible. And so we started it off. I asked, I've been fortunate enough to work a lot with Bono and his organization, the One Campaign, and he came and did the first one. And he had this brilliant idea of saying, of having the audience speak those names back. So, it's very much a process in theater. You come, you sit down. Yeah, you come, but when a rock star tells you to call repeat, you don't call repeat.
It's different.
So it was a fantastic moment, and I wasn't there. I was shooting in Atlanta, and he did that. He said, I'd like to have the audience repeat these names as well. I want them to also say the names. And I just thought that was so brilliant.
Absolutely.
And when I got in a couple weeks later and I saw, it was the night Cynthia Nixon did it, and I saw it, and I was standing at the back of the theater, and I just broke, because there was something so powerful about having this, 1,000 strong audience speaking those girls' names. And it was just a way of us trying to make sure that we bring the reality of those stories to people as much as possible.
Got it. And now I want to transition a bit again into your athleticism. I'm wondering if you have any advice for me, because I love and admire your athleticism, but how do you kind of carve out these times for your workouts and to stay fit, but also incorporating self-care into that?
Staying fit is self-care.
Is it okay? So maybe that's just what I need to do, just stay fit.
Exactly. No, I mean, listen, it's a struggle, it's a journey. Sometimes it's like, and it's a sacrifice. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Of course there are times, I'm about to meet with my trainer and I just want to go, watch Orange is the New Black.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
Me too. Yes,
like,
yes.
I just want a big bowl of popcorn.
I don't want to do this right now.
I'm like, but she waiting, and let me get the heart strap on, but there's so of course there's always I have to wake sometimes. I know I have to wake up a lot earlier than I would have had to if I say, okay, listen, I have to get this workout in before I go to work. I know I'll have a better day if I've given my body that jump start, if I've allowed it to be exercised and to be invigorated and get my heart rate going, and and worked on it. I will feel better. I will feel fuller. I'll feel fitter. I'll feel stronger. I'll feel more ready. I'll feel more present.
Yes.
It's real in that sense, in the sense of just fitness is really something that makes your life better.
Yes.
It makes you have a better quality of life. And so to me, people say, the classic question is, how do you find the time? It's like, how do you find the time for anything?
And that cliche, you make time for what you want to make time for.
Everybody makes time for what they want to make time for. If we were to really go through everyone's day, there are times that they've made for, you might have made 2 hours in your day for Instagram alone. I got my 2 hour Instagram slot right here. You know what I mean? Like, come on, it's really, it's a choice.
Yes.
And it's about prioritizing. And it is sacrificial. There's something sacrificial in it, but because you are sacrificing other things you'd rather do. But this thing that is going to pay off in ways that those other things will not. And so it really is about making that choice. And I think it is about a choice, and it's a decision. And I love it when I've seen people do that. I've seen so many people in my life just say, I'm going to start doing that.
Yes.
And then they make it a part of their lives, and then they get the bug. They get addicted to it, and it's the best type of addiction, because it's like, my body wants this. It wants to be exercised. It wants to be kept fit and alive and strong. And as much as I can do it, let me do it. And then you see people really making it a priority.
Yes.
And then they never ask that question again.
That's it. And now our audience is booming. They have 2 questions that I'm going to ask you. First comes from Monique. She says, what forms of self-care outside of your fitness do you practice?
Yeah, well, I think I've said this. I said this in a little bit in Women's Health. I mentioned that I try to take Sundays off.
Okay.
And that taking Sundays off means that you trust that the universe can function without you for one full day. It's hard. It's
yes,
hard.
Yes,
I mean,
I know. To unplug.
To unplug. And I think that regenerating that way is very important to me. I have, a family of, a family that I know from my spiritual life, a family that I know from my actual life, connecting to them, just taking a day to be, a daughter, a sister, a friend, like you can actually start to do less of that as your life gets more full. So very much allowing that space and time, to me, is a very important form of self-care. Focusing on others outside of my own life is a way of self-care, ironically. So yeah, very much that. Nutrition is a way of self-care. Like finding ways to eat in delicious, healthy ways is a self-care mechanism, big time. Really expanding what I know and understand about the world around me is a form of self-care, because I want to be a participating citizen of the world. And so any way in which I can, pick up a book, or read an important publication and learn something about the world around me, or watch a documentary, things like that are important forms of self-care, and plugging into things that I can do, so that I am participating as much as possible. I mean, those are all, trying to be a great friend for a day.
Right, that's self-care.
That's self-care, ironically.
And we have one more question from Sarah. She is interested in knowing what your favorite workout is.
The least painful. No, I'm kidding.
Me too.
No, you know what? It's there's no specific thing. I would say it's changed throughout the years. It changes because, just like anything, you have to variate. You're not wearing the same clothes you were wearing like in 2005.
No, you're not.
You change it up a little bit. So it's kind of the same thing with fitness. It's like, there are times I used to swim a lot, and I actually think that probably still stays as around in the top 3, because it's such a full body workout.
Yes, it is.
And it is so it's so great for you in so many ways. And at the same time, there's something so nourishing and relaxing about being in water. And so it really has this dual effect that I find fantastic. And it was actually my key competitive sport as a kid. And so now when I do it, there's something really nourishing for me about it. But in terms of, it's very hard for me to get to a pool every day. It's not easy for me to go and do laps all the time. So sometimes my quick and dirty workout is like doing intervals on elliptical while doing a lot of arm resistance at the same time with either monster bands or TheraBands or weights. Doing that at the right levels is a really good quick and dirty. I'm going to
step it up, because I was only doing squats, but I like what you're talking about a lot better.
Squats are good, but you want to vary it into something that also involves
Definitely.
A degree of cardio, getting your heart rate up. I've found it very satisfying of late to do to pay attention to my heart rate, and to learn, when I'm at a threshold, and how to stay there, and how to, what is actually keeping my body at a more challenging level. And that can actually be a very satisfying workout, when you challenge yourself and you can look back at it, on your little app on your phone and go, dang, I stayed at that heart rate for that many minutes. That's pretty cool. So
Absolutely.
It's interesting. There are different ways you could enjoy a workout.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the pain can result in joy.
Yes. But now, before we let you go, I'm interested in hearing, what is one thing you hope visitors to 29 Rooms take away from their experience inside the support system room?
Well, I hope they're just encouraged to not only try it, but to get out there and get active as much as possible. You know what I mean? That's kind of the whole goal, is active. Let's get active. Let's find the best gear, the best support system to get us to our fittest selves. So I hope there's an encouragement in that area, big time.
Absolutely. But thank you so much for joining us here. It was an absolute pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you.
Now, you all at home, make sure you check out 29 Rooms, specifically the support system room by Reebok. But 29 Rooms tickets are on sale now. Make sure you check us out here in New York City, and we will see you next time. Bye.